Welcome to Mindful Moments. Nourish your mind on the go. This audio uses AI narration to present our original book analysis. Today, we're diving deep into Gabriel García Márquez's 100 Years of Solitude, ready to explore this captivating world of Macondo and the generations of the Buendía family.
Absolutely. 100 Years of Solitude, a cornerstone of magical realism. And it's not just a genre, it's more like Márquez's way of examining Colombian society, history, and the human condition, all through this lens of fantastical events.
That's a great point. It's not just whimsy, it's social commentary, woven into the fabric of a fictional world. And what a world it is. We begin with José Arcadio Buendía, the patriarch who leads families across unforgiving terrain to establish Macondo. He's driven by a dream, this vision of a city of mirrored houses.
And that drive, that desire to create something new, it's like a thread woven through each generation of the Buendias. But they're also constantly wrestling with fate. Despite their efforts to forge their own paths, they're continually pulled back into the same cycles of love, loss, and ambition that shaped their ancestors.
It's almost like they're trapped in a predetermined pattern, unable to escape the legacy of their family. We see it play out in characters like Colonel Aureliano Buendía, the solitary warrior who's almost destined to be consumed by the cycle of civil war.
Exactly. And even Ursula, the family matriarch, embodies the struggle. She's a pillar of strength, holding the family together through countless trials. But even she can't fully escape the weight of the Buendía legacy.
It's fascinating how Márquez juxtaposes these larger-than-life characters against the backdrop of Macondo, a town where the extraordinary becomes commonplace. It makes you wonder, are the fantastical elements a reflection of their internal struggles, or an external force shaping their destinies?
That's the beauty of magical realism. It blurs the lines, forces us to question what's real and what's imagined, just like the characters themselves. Take the recurring character of Melquiades, the gypsy, who introduces incredible inventions to Macondo. He brings both progress and chaos.
He's like a catalyst, pushing the Buendias toward both innovation and their eventual downfall. And then there's the insomnia plague, where the town loses its collective memory. It's a chilling metaphor for the fragility of identity and the power of shared history.
It's almost as if they're losing their connection to who they are, both as individuals and as a community. This loss of memory becomes another thread woven into that cyclical nature of their existence, erasing their past, and in a way, condemning them to repeat it.
And let's not forget the love stories woven throughout the narrative. The Buendias are consumed by passion, but often meet tragic ends, like Rebecca, the adopted daughter with a mysterious past, and her ill-fated romance with Pietro Crespi.
Love becomes a driving force for many of them, but it's intertwined with heartbreak and often steeped in the weight of their family's history. It raises the question, are they choosing these paths? Or are they simply playing out predetermined roles in a grander narrative?
It makes you wonder if they can ever escape the pull of their past, or if they're fated to relive the same tragedies over and over again. And that brings us to José Arcadio, the eldest son of José Arcadio Buendía. He inherits his father's impulsiveness and that same yearning for something more.
He embodies that inherent struggle between chasing a personal desire and fulfilling a predetermined role within the family. Like his father, he yearns to break free. But ultimately, his choices lead him down a path of destruction.
He abandons his family, runs off with a gypsy girl, and leaves a trail of pain and resentment behind him. It's a tragic echo of his father's own obsession with alchemy and his failed attempts to achieve greatness.
And yet you can see the parallels between them. This drive to break free from the confines of their existence, even if it leads to their downfall. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes even our most passionate desires can lead us astray.
It's as if Márquez is showing us that the line between ambition and self-destruction can be incredibly thin.
Exactly, and that awareness, that understanding of the potential for both greatness and ruin, is crucial when examining not just the characters, but also the larger themes Márquez explores. It challenges us to consider our own choices and the potential consequences, both intended and unintended.
And speaking of consequences, that we have to talk about the Banana Company and their arrival in Macondo.
Here, we see the intrusion of the outside world, a force that disrupts the delicate balance of Macondo's existence. The Banana Company brings the promise of progress and prosperity, but it also brings exploitation and ultimately a loss of innocence.
It's almost like a microcosm of colonialism and its impact on traditional societies. The arrival of the Banana Company marks a turning point in this story, as the forces of modernity clash with the established ways of life in Macondo.
And the Buendias, once again, find themselves caught in the middle, forced to navigate the shifting landscape of their world and grapple with the consequences of forces beyond their control.
It's as if their world, this once isolated haven, is being invaded and reshaped by external forces, and they must adapt or be swept away by the tide of change.
Right, and that adaptation, that struggle to retain their identity in the face of such overwhelming change, becomes central to their individual journeys and the fate of Macondo itself. And this struggle, it's amplified by one of the most surreal events in the novel, the insomnia plague.
Right, this plague. It doesn't just rob people of sleep, it steals their memories. Imagine forgetting your loved ones, the names of everyday objects, even the meaning of words.
It becomes a chilling exploration of memory's role in shaping personal and collective identity. The people of Macondo are forced to label everything around them just to function. It's a powerful reminder of how much we rely on shared history, on our collective past, to make sense of the present.
And it speaks to that recurring theme of cyclical time. As they lose their memory, they're essentially losing their past, becoming disconnected from the very cycles that define them.
Exactly. It's as if Marquez is saying that without memory, without a connection to our history, we're doomed to repeat it. The insomnia plague becomes a literal manifestation of that idea.
And amidst all of this, there's Ursula, the family matriarch,
Yeah.
who represents as sort of anchored to the past. Even as she ages and experiences her own losses, she remains a source of strength and wisdom for her family.
She embodies that enduring spirit, that ability to persevere even in the face of unimaginable hardship. It's interesting to contrast her with Amaranta, her adopted sister, who chooses a path of fierce independence but ultimately suffers from a deep inability to love.
Amaranta's story. It's a tragic counterpoint to Ursula's. It makes you wonder, is her strength actually a defense mechanism? A way to protect herself from the pain of loss and vulnerability?
It's a powerful reminder that strength can take many forms.
Yeah.
And sometimes, the most independent among us are also the most fragile. And both Ursula and Amaranta's paths highlight the complexities of female characters within this whirlwind of a family saga.
Now, as the story unfolds, the Buendía twins, Aureliano II and José Arcadio II, enter the scene, representing the next generation. They're burdened by the weight of their family's history, but also offer a glimmer of hope for the future.
They each grapple with the legacy of their ancestors in contrasting ways. Aureliano II embraces the excesses brought by the banana company, indulging in a life of pleasure and extravagance. He almost seems determined to repeat the mistakes of his predecessors.
While José Arcadio II is more introspective, he sees the exploitation inherent in the banana company's presence and tries to fight for the rights of the workers.
But his efforts are ultimately futile. It's a tragic realization that even with awareness, even with the best intentions, sometimes, the tide of history is too strong to turn back.
Their divergent paths highlight the constant tension between the desire for individual fulfillment and the weight of inherited burdens. It begs the question, can we ever truly escape the influence of our past, or are we destined to become echoes of those who came before us?
And the banana company itself becomes this potent symbol of change, of the forces that shape and reshape societies. Its arrival in Macondo disrupts the established order, bringing with it the promise of progress, but also the seeds of destruction.
It's like a microcosm of colonialism, highlighting the complexities of globalization and the ways in which external forces can impact traditional cultures.
The banana company's presence forces the people of Macondo to confront their own values, to redefine their identities in a rapidly changing world. It's a struggle that resonates far beyond the pages of this novel.
Right. It speaks to those larger questions of cultural preservation, economic exploitation, and the often uneven consequences of progress.
And woven throughout all of this are those fantastical elements that define magical realism, the levitating priest, the recurring motif of yellow butterflies, the characters who live for centuries. They all add another layer to this complex tapestry, blurring the lines between reality and imagination.
It's almost as if the magical elements are a reflection of the characters' inner lives, their desires, their fears, and their struggles to make sense of a world that often feels both beautiful and brutal.
It's this interplay between the magical and the mundane that gives the novel its unique texture and allows Marquez to explore such profound themes in a way that is both captivating and thought-provoking. And it's what keeps readers coming back to this book again and again, discovering new layers and interpretations with each reading.
And as the story approaches its climax, we see the town of Macondo succumbing to the forces of decay and destruction. The banana company abandons the town, leaving behind a wasteland of broken dreams and shattered lives.
It's as if Macondo itself becomes a casualty of progress, a victim of those same cycles that have plagued the Buendía family for generations, and as the last of the Buendias, Aureliano Babylonia deciphers Melchiades' manuscripts. We sense the inevitable end looming.
It's a haunting realization that even in this fantastical world, certain truths are inescapable. Time marches on, and even the most vibrant civilizations eventually crumble.
And yet, there's a certain beauty in that inevitability, a recognition of the cyclical nature of existence. As Aureliano reads that prophecy, he's not just unraveling the fate of his family, he's witnessing the dissolution of his entire world. It's a powerful reminder how interconnected we are, how individual destinies, they're often intertwined with the fate of our communities and even nations.
And just as he reaches the final line, the town is swept away by a whirlwind. Fulfilling the prophecy Melchiades had written centuries before, it's breathtakingly tragic, yet strangely liberating ending.
Almost like the whirlwind represents a cleansing, a wiping clean of the slate. The Buendias, with all their passions and flaws, their triumphs and tragedies, they're released from the cycle of repetition that has defined their existence.
Makes you think about the nature of endings. Is this a final erasure? Or a chance for a new beginning? A world where perhaps the mistakes of the past won't be repeated?
That ambiguity, it's part of what makes the ending so powerful. It doesn't offer easy answers, but it invites us to contemplate the cyclical nature of history and the possibility of breaking free from destructive patterns.
And even though Macondo was wiped off the map, the echoes of its story,
Yeah.
the lessons embedded within its rise and fall, they remain for us to grapple with.
Exactly. 100 Years of Solitude. It's a story that stays with you long after you've finished reading it. It prompts us to reflect on our own lives, our own families, and the legacies we inherit and pass on. It challenges us to consider the choices we make and the potential consequences they hold for future generations.
It's a story about the human condition, our capacity for both great love and profound loss, our yearning for connection and our struggle for individual identity. And it's told with such vibrant language, such intricate detail, that you're completely transported to this world of magic and realism.
We've only skimmed the surface of this rich and layered novel, but I hope this deep dive has given you a taste of its magic, its tragedy, and its enduring relevance.
If you're ready to embark on a journey through a century of love, loss, and magical realism, then you definitely need to experience 100 Years of Solitude for yourself.
You'll find yourself swept away by the captivating world of Macondo and the unforgettable characters who inhabit its pages.
And if you're interested in exploring more literary worlds with us, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and check out the link in the episode description. To purchase your own copy of 100 Years of Solitude, let us know what you think and what other deep dives you'd like us to take on next.